And it makes us want to ask the question, well, why? Why could God give us so many things, so many beautiful moments of joy, but the second they're gone, the happiness disappears from our heart? How is it possible that you can have sex 1,000 times, but the week that you don't get sex, you're frustrated? Why could people say 1,000 good words about you, but that's not enough to fill up your heart? As soon as someone comes with a criticism instead of a compliment, what do you think about? Why is that? What is it about the human heart or soul that wants and needs and craves and craves? Well, Ecclesiastes actually answers that question too. In the same book, Solomon said this: God has also set eternity in the human heart. That when you were created in your mother's womb, when God gifted you with a soul, that soul at its very depth would crave not little temporary vapors and bursts of happiness. There would be a deep craving within you that would never be truly happy or satisfied until something would last forever. Solomon said kind of the same thing in Proverbs chapter 19. He said, what a person desires is unfailing love, eternal, lasting love. That's what's deep in your heart. You know, I've experienced this recently. How many of you have heard of Your Time of Grace? That ministry familiar to some of you? It started about a year ago. Time of Grace, the media ministry, had this idea. What if we created these little video clips that people could use as devotions? And the past year has been like off the charts amazing. God gathered a bunch of pastors. I get to be one of them. And I think now there's over 130,000 likes and followers on Facebook. And if you would have told me 5 years ago that I would be part of a ministry that would have over 100,000 followers, is that going to make you happy, Mike? I would have said, oh my goodness, of course it would. If you would tell me that I would be able to preach a devotion and not 30 or 300 and not 3,000, but 30,000, 60,000, 80,000 people would see it and hear the words that I got to speak about God, would that make you happy, Mike? I'd say, well, yeah. In fact, early last year, Your Time of Grace played a video. They boosted it with a bunch of marketing dollars that I was a part of that got over 1 million hits on the internet. You think that made me happy? Yep. For a little bit. Do you think that past success fills my heart up today? Nope. In fact, as much as I love this ministry, it's a little bit dangerous for me. How many views did this one get? How many did John Enter's video get? How many did mine? Right? The human heart never stops wanting people's approval, people's acceptance. It never stops wanting to be impressive. And like Solomon, I got to experience something I never thought I would, and even my heart says, it's not enough. And that's a dangerous path. Because I would propose to you today that every one of the sins that you and I commit is because we want one of those things so badly and we don't have it. Here's my next exercise for all you guys together. I want you to pair up with a couple guys around you again. I'm going to give you 2 minutes this time, and I want you to try to finish this sentence. When men lack blank, and you can choose one of the words you had on the sheet, comfort or attention or approval or control or respect or pleasure, they sin by blank. You get the exercise? Let me give you an example. When a man lacks excitement, he might turn to pornography to see something exciting. He might binge watch a show on Netflix because for a moment it's exciting. When there's that emptiness in his heart, he'll pursue it somewhere, even if he has to neglect other important things in his life, or even if he has to sin to do it. Right? There's your assignment. I'll give you 2 minutes. Remember when you see my hand start to whistle, and we'll gather. All right, brothers. Ooh, how about that? I didn't know I can get your attention without your help. Thank you very much. All right, I bet those answers came pretty quickly, huh? Just think through our list. If a man lacks comfort, if I'm comfortable and my kids interrupt me, daddy, 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 can you look at this? Why? You scribbled on a page again. All right, that's amazing. I can be impatient. I can lack compassion. I can be selfish. You try to mess with my comfort, I'm ready to settle down after a long day at work, and my wife has some stuff for me to do. Is it loving? Now, when a man lacks comfort, he kind of turns inward. Think about attention or approval or respect. Think how often this happens in a marriage. A guy doesn't feel respected. What happens? He'll take the vow he made before God and he'll torpedo it, right? I'll love you if it's for better, but for worse, if I don't feel respected by you, he'll turn to other places. Think of how often this happens to little girls in high school. No one's paying attention to them. Maybe they had a dad that didn't pay attention to them, so what do? They'll turn anywhere for attention. Think of what happens when a man doesn't get respect at his job, if the boss doesn't notice. Will he work with all of his heart like he's working for the Lord? Whenever one of those compartments of our heart isn't filled up, we end up turning to pretty ugly places. We're going to explore this a little bit later in the presentation, but I want you to think about that. What part of your heart explains lots of the sins that you've been committing? The parts where you find yourself stumbling and saying, well, yeah, I was impatient, or I was angry, or I turned to drinking, or man, I'm holding on to this money. What is it that you crave so badly that you commit that sin again and again and again? What's missing in your heart? I want you to think deeply about that because of our next fill in the blank. The truth is that men sin in the spaces. That craving, that unfulfilled, unsatisfied craving explains so often why we turn to the things that we hate as men and as sons of God. Back in Deuteronomy, Moses talked about this. He said in chapter 12, in worshiping their gods, they do all kinds of detestable things that the Lord hates. When attention becomes a god, something that I need and I crave and I don't have, I end up doing detestable things that I hate and that God hates. When pleasure or excitement or control, I end up in those same old places